everyone. Welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. Once again, real life Jamie is sharing. I was starting to shiver doing my videos, and we're nearly at the end of the very cold season. So my coat has like all the makeup that I've rubbed off of it as I've been like wearing it all winter long. So you'll have to forgive that. But I was like, I can't do another video because I'm going to start chattering and it's not going to be good. Uh, once again, you get real life Jamie here on my videos. I don't usually have time to edit, so you get all the coughs and the dog fusses and all of that on my channel. So thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. There's a lady, Kim. What's her channel called? The Wads. The Wads. She just makes me laugh, and she always comes out with like songs, breaks out into song when she accidentally says something that is a song. Today's video, I want to talk about just a brief update of our guardianship, trusteeship journey. I spoke a little bit about it last video, but I wanted to give a little bit more in-depth chat. So for those who haven't been watching the guardianship saga, I'm going to call it. Sorry, my neighbor's pulling out of their yard. I can never tell if you guys can hear all of the noise. It's very slushy out here because it's been warm, and so it's very loud. When Darrion turned 17, we started in earnest attempting to do the paperwork to make sure that we can look after our son into his adulthood. And it was a mess. When he was 16, we went to see somebody from social services to see if they could tell us what the steps are, where the list was for like step-by-step steps. Nobody had that. That wasn't a thing that existed. And when we asked her, she was like, when it's time, we'll fill out the paperwork for you and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's helpful. It was not. And now it is, so his birthday is in April. So April 2024, we started, 2025, excuse me. We started in earnest, and it is now mid-March 2026. You'll probably be seeing this after his birthday, I want to say. I'm doing a whole bunch of bulk videos ahead of time because I've got lots going on in my life, and I did not want to forget you folks. So long story short, we are still waiting, which is thrilling me to no end because I am not a last minute Nancy, and I feel like we're right up to the line. The lawyers were like, oh, it shouldn't be that long. Like, we had everything filed and signed in October, and they were like, oh yeah, no, it shouldn't take all the way up to March or April, and yet here we are, which is lovely. I really had to rely on God and his timing for all of this. Thankfully, our son is very healthy, so the chances of a huge disruption or a huge issue if we didn't have the paperwork is pretty slim, but it definitely is not the way I would have preferred to have it happen, because I'm definitely somebody who goes, I had every reason to expect that we were good to go as far as timing went. But once you put it in their hands, there's absolutely nothing you can do to make them hurry or rush or get through the pile faster, or however they do. So recently we got an email from a company that I didn't even know we needed to be involved with, where they were like, now you need a criminal record. So for information for those in Alberta who are going to be going through the process. If you have a lawyer or go through a lawyer, maybe you can what is the word? Expedite, that's the word, this particular step, because we could have walked into our local RCMP place office and had our criminal record check done many moons ago. But we didn't. So there's a company outside of Canada too, which was fun and interesting. When you're reading the legalese, they're like New York and California, and I'm like, what does this have to do with Canada? Anyway, um, yeah, we filled out the paperwork. They also had to like verify our identity using our SIN number and credit situations, which was also fun and interesting because some of the things that are called, like for our bank, was called something else according to their records. And so, and then they make this whole proviso of like, make sure you don't lie on this document. And I'm like, okay. And then depending on how long it takes you to answer these questions, you will essentially be judged. And I was like, okay, so don't lie, but don't be too careful, because if it takes you too long, we might think that, oh, like, it was, the whole process is insane. And I don't mind saying that I was not in a good mood when I filled the paperwork out. And once you have the record check that you're not a criminal, then they send you to someone else who, or some other company who is the one who reaches out to your references. And we had already gotten references for our lawyer, but now they needed 3 references. And I was mad. I don't get angry very often, but I was like, he is my son. I have looked after him his entire life. He is doing well. Police have never come to my house. They have never had to calm him down. They have never had to go, okay, is there something going on in this house? Like, yeah, I'm like, the amount of hoops that we have had to jump to say, we will look after him till we're no longer able to, is insanity. And it's gotten me thinking about when, and down the road, when our girls one day take over this responsibility, and I go, there's prayers on my behalf to the Lord, or on their behalf, that they make that situation so much easier to do, because boy, oh boy. I was watching, I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he's a fella who is from Texas, but he lives in Tasmania. And his son has autism. And he was doing uh, the numbers, I guess, in Australia. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's a very similar number in Canada. But essentially, he was saying, we as parents who are saying we're going to take the responsibility, take care of our child, take care of his finances, he was like, we are actually saving you, the government, money. Because if we said, you know what, he's 18, I've done my job, now you, the government, get to take care of him, it would cost the government over $500,000 per year. Now with AISH, or PDD or anything else, any other services that we would get from the government, is like the smallest of percentage of that amount of money. And yet it's yeah, it's treated like we are criminals, that we have to prove that we can do this, where I'm like, maybe it should be proved that we couldn't, and that would be a very hard sell in our case. I'm just going to put it out there. So, um, when I started the process of documenting the guardianship journey, my initial plan was that I was going to make a list, that you guys were going to have a step-by-step list, especially if you were from Alberta, Canada, but literally something that gave you the idea. And hopefully this video diary essentially of the guardianship will give you an idea of just how difficult the process can be. But I'm not looking at it and going, I can make that list for, you know, the lion's share of the population. I literally do not think that that is possible, because it is so insanely complicated. And that doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, let the government off the hook for the fact that they don't have it. I think that actually puts them on the hook for having made it so stupid and so complicated that a person who's gone through it can't actually help anyone. Like, that to me is insane. So, long story short, my the point of this video was just to let you know that we are still in process. So if you have the ability to start when they're 16 years old in Alberta, I highly recommend you do that. I highly recommend that you go, okay, these are the things that we want to get done. Even if your case is super, super simple, it's really, really, really important that you do everything that you can as much ahead of time, so that, like, I told my husband, I'm like, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine if we had started this process like 4 months before he turned 18. Like, the amount of stress and overwhelm we would have had then, like, all last year was stressful. Like, this was the year that I was supposed to be like calm and relaxed and it was easy. Like, I was like, I did everything that I could to mitigate the last minute Nancy in this process, and it didn't work. So again, it's not to, this video is not to overwhelm or cause stress or to freak you out, but more to give you a realistic expectation, because my expectations were, I'm going to do everything right, I'm going to get everything done, and it's going to go well for us, because we've done all of these things ahead of time and given them lots and lots of time to deal. We have not heard from PDD. We have not heard from AISH, other than to say, we got your stuff and we're still processing it. Excellent. Well done, you. PDD, I called myself and said, you see our application. So I know they have it. And then we went through a lawyer, because we thought that there would be professionals going through and making sure that stuff was happening. And who knows, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. They told us they were going to send us regular updates. We got one update after we said, so we've got 2 months here left. And yeah, so like, I wish that I could be more helpful, though. I wish I could be like, and here is the list of things you do with step by step. And I think in the video blog, I kind of have done that, but I don't think having a PDF of these are the steps is going to be helpful to anyone, because you might end up with really helpful social worker who does an excellent job, or you might have one that's not so great like we did. Your court system might go faster, it might go slower. Like, there is the bureaucracy is mind-boggling in this process. So and then I was laughing because my dear stepmother was talking about how she was like, you know, she knew a family who had a child with autism, and essentially the government was like, so you're looking after that? Good job. And off they went. Like, that was, she's like, the amount of stuff that you guys have had to do is insane. And I'm like, I can't imagine. I told Colin, I'm like, what would happen if we did have a criminal record? Like, would that would that have changed our eligibility to actually look after our own child? Like, I don't have words for how crazy this has been. So, long story short, we're still in the process. I'm sure God's got this. I'm choosing not to freak out about it. I am kind of resigned to the fact that there is absolutely nothing that I can do. I have literally done everything that I could to mitigate all of this waiting and last minuteness, but if there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do. So my biggest takeaway, my biggest encouragement for anyone who has a child around 16 years old is start the process now. Start it now. PDD in Alberta, you can apply right when they're 16, so do it, because apparently when they're 17 is too late. It'll take them too long. They did say with both PDD and AISH, they will retroactively from the time they turn 18. So it wasn't your fault that we didn't have the paper. We did have the paperwork. So we'll just from the time he turned 18, we'll just give you more money that first month or whatever. So yeah, again, the most insane way of doing business ever. But it's a government bureaucracy. So yeah, the lawyer stuff I would start at 16 as well if you are going that route. Yeah, we had complications that we needed a lawyer for. So long story short, it is still possible to do, but expect long delays, expect insanity, expect surprise emails, expect that you're going to have to give information that you were like, oh, of course, I didn't know that I had to share this. And we have nothing to hide, so it's not anything that we're like, oh my goodness. But it's just, yeah, the hoops. So that is the update. If by the time all of these videos cycle through on my channel and I have it, I will make an updated video instead of this one. But if you're seeing this, then you know that we are still waiting. We're still waiting. But I'm choosing to believe that I might make a new video for you. So thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. Have a wonderful, wonderful spring, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.